Hi everybody, Mandrew Cuneo here. Cube is back on Arena. I'm looking forward to it. This is the Tinkerer Cube, which I'm hoping has Emrakul in it. I didn't look at the list of what cards have been added, but I think Emrakul would be a great addition. What's this card? Timely Interference. Let's see. So this is a cube that's usually about ramping. Might want Inscription of Abundance just because it's such a powerful card. There's no way to just get a ton of lands back, is there? Probably not. I think it's between Inscription of Abundance and Wolfwillow Haven. I'll go with Inscription of Abundance. Ooh, maybe some sort of +1/+1 counters thing going on. This Clay Champion card, I always want to try it in the Standard. It looks like it should be good enough, but sadly it's not in reality. Oh, there's also Witch of the Moors. Witch of the Moors is just really good. And I already have one card that gains life. Floundering on the Path. That doesn't seem all that exciting. I think I'll go with the Witch of the Moors. This is good. I'm in green-black, so I'll probably get like Grizzly Salvage or something like that to set up my Emrakul, which I know I'm going to get Emrakul, even if I don't know for sure it's actually in the cube. A little bit of value from the tracker. I hate Fauna Shaman. It is such a lackluster card. Well, this Flamestoker's a good card. Not for the deck I'm drafting. I might just take Briarbridge Tracker. The Angel of Suffering. Suffering doesn't sound good. Duskwatch Recruiter is certainly fine. Valentin / Lizette could be good too. Even Knight of Autumn could be good. I definitely don't want the Champion of Lambholt. I don't think that that is the kind of thing that I should be looking for. I think I'm going to go with Duskwatch Recruiter. It's a little bit hard to gauge just like how big you want your deck to go. This is my first playthrough of this iteration of this cube. I always like this card. Not enough that I'm just going to pick it here, though. This is probably a spot where I should just take a land. Wow, Winota is in the cube. I bet that's actually a pretty strong early pick. I'll just take a land. I've actually generally been impressed by Altar of Baal in cubes. Drivnod? I don't think so. What does this one do? seems like a much worse form of Altar of Baal. Just so many more things can go wrong for not that much upside. So if I am trying to be a green-black deck that's going to trigger Witch of the Moors, you would think Mortality Spear would fit really nicely. And I agree, but I think I should take over Gruntomb when I get the chance. I definitely need to be on the lookout for more ways to gain life. One is not going to cut it with the Witch of the Moors. What does this card do? I am playing best of 3, so maybe I would sideboard this in. I have white mana. Wow, Zerd is back as a companion. That's cool. I'd be up for trying to companion a Zerda in Cube. I almost first picked this card and it wheeled. I guess I'm going to take it over Brushland. Clay Champion is back. This card just costs too much for what it does. I can't imagine putting that in my deck. So if I'm a green-black deck, this is probably going to be a 4-mana 5/5 a lot of the time. Do I want a treasure map, or do I want the ability to splash blue cards? Probably the ability to splash blue cards. What's this thing do? Probably not. What does this thing do? Probably not, but maybe. Wow, Winota just hanging out in the packs. This card I really think is quite bad. I'm drafting green-black, and I don't even think I would consider playing it. Other enchantment creatures you control. That's going to be a hard one to build around. Activated or triggered ability you control from an enchantment source. 2 wolves from Wolfwillow Haven? Probably not. I'm just going to take Collective Brutality. It's a way to gain life to trigger the Witch of the Moors. It's removal. It's a way to interact with my opponent's hand. Seems like a pretty good pick. There's also Haywire Might that will possibly wheel. I'll probably play it if it does wheel. What does this one do? I'm going to go with no thanks on that one. Costs too much mana. What does this one do? This is for like a sack theme deck. I do have the Altar of Baal, but I don't think I want more expensive cards. I think I'm just going to take Cankerbloom. Just to keep my curve relatively low. Even Sling Gang Lieutenant would also be fine. That with Witch of the Moors is pretty nutty. I probably don't want to draft my entire deck around my Witch of the Moors, but I do want to make it good. Sack a creature or a treasure. This card is really good. Ooh, Raphael's in the cube. I think Diabolic Intent is legal in Standard right now. I remember when it was spoiled, people thought it was going to be insane in Explorer and Pioneer, and it was just like, no, it's not. I think I'm going to take Skullport Merchant. Probably Old Rutstein will wheel. Another green-black land, a 1-drop that I don't really think has any relevant abilities for me. What does this one do? Whenever you discard, you can exile and play it. It's a Wombo combo with Fauna Shaman, which I didn't pick. I'm just going to take the land. Ooh, Gilded Goose. Gilded Goose is good with Witch of the Moors. It's also just a 1-mana play. There's also Once Upon a Time, which I kind of place a high priority on picking this, both because it's very good and it also prevents my opponents from picking it and then playing with it really poorly. People have a really hard time figuring out when you're supposed to cast this card. The free form. I'm just going to take Gilded Goose. But pretty much, if you're casting it at instant speed at the end of your opponent's turn for free, you're really doing it wrong. Is all I'm going to say about that. So return a non-rogue creature card from the graveyard to the battlefield. And there's an Indatha Triumph, but there's also Terra Sunder, which just seems like it's perfect for my deck. So I'm at 11 spells right now. I'll probably play 17 land, 23 spells. My curve doesn't seem to be crazy high. And I have a Gilded Goose and a Wolfwillhaven. Could maybe get away with 16 lands if I get like one more thing that is a mana source that's not a land. This is for people who are casting enchantment spells. That's probably not me. I don't think I'm doing enough with this kind of stuff to make this a good card. Tavar Stand is probably pretty good. It doesn't seem like there's a massive amount of removal in this set, which is what this is at its best against, but it's never bad. All right, the Haywire Might came back. I thought I would wind up playing this, but in the course of that pack, I got a Rex Sage and a Terra Sunder, so I might not play the Haywire Might. This is a best of 3, so it's nice to at least be able to sideboard it. I guess it's also kind of a combo with Journey to Eternity. Wow, Sling Gang Lieutenant wield, that's excellent. It's very good with Witch of the Moors because you can trigger the life gain. It's also pretty good with Skullport Merchant. You can sack them. There's some cards I'm never going to play. Well, maybe the land. The cards in this cube are so powerful, I can't imagine ever wanting to spend my mana on Maskwood Nexus. So far I haven't seen Emrakul. I thought I was trying to draft Emrakul. Wow, Rowdy Crew is in the cube. This card is actually not that bad. So you have some sort of weird madness deck. Oh, Emrakul in the pack with Ishkana. I knew Emrakul would never let me down. I mean, probably will let me down, because I'm not really well set up for it at all, but I'm definitely going to pick it. If I'm lucky, the Ishkana wheels. So now we got to figure out how we're going to cast this Emrakul. So I have 3 instants and 1 sorcery, and I have lands, but the lands don't go to the graveyard. So maybe I can use Argoth to mill myself. It's so expensive though. Does this mill me in some way? No. So I want a way to get lands in my graveyard. Well, there's Grimflayer. That's a good way to enable Emrakul. What does this squirrel do? The squirrel would certainly be okay. I think I'm just going to take Grimflayer because it's such a good setup for Emrakul. I don't have any planeswalkers yet. Or artifacts. No, wait, I have one artifact. It's the Altar of Baal, though. Which isn't necessarily going to go to my yard. What's this thing do? Exile another card from a graveyard. This thing's actually quite good. What's this? No, it's got a lot of words on it, and it's not my colors. I'll learn more about that one in the future. Liliana's Contract. Draw 4, lose 4, and then you need 4 demons. How am I supposed to ever get 4 demons? Is this a good way to produce extra mana? If you have a lot of legends, it kind of taps for 2 mana. I don't have a lot of legends, though. I don't think I want Retrofit or Foundry. It's not bad, but I think that I might just want to play Ram Through instead. Oh, Skyfisher Spider. That's a nice one. This only sacks creatures. Probably have some creatures to sack, though. I wouldn't mind the Cemetery Prowler. It can make Emrakul cheaper, but I think Skyfisher Spider's quite strong. So I'm looking for sorceries, artifacts, planeswalkers. I think I'm going to take Ornithopter of Paradise. Gives me an artifact that can go to my yard. I'm going to only play 16 lands now. I want the Mayor of Avabrook. I think not. Maybe Timeless Witness. Don't think I'm going to want to splash white. I only have 1 land for splashing white. I don't think I want any of these cards really at all, so whatever. What's this guy do? You get 2 treasure tokens. The land would have been nice, but I'm actually a little bit light on spells, and I wanted something that could ramp me somewhat to cast the Emrakul. Also, it has some synergies with Skullport Merchant. I don't think I'm playing any of those cards. I know I'm not playing any of those. I want 1 more spell. If I can have 1 more cheap spell, would be great. So I don't know that I really need to play 17 lands. The Emrakul and the Cemetery Desecrator are certainly expensive, but I have the Goose, the Ornithopter, Wolfwillow Haven, Skullport Merchant, Grim Hireling. So what are my options for another spell? Clay Champion, not excited about that one. Conduit of Worlds. This seems not very good. So this This is kind of asking for your deck to have a lot of instants in it, so you can use this on your turn to play something from your graveyard, and then you cast an instant on your opponent's turn with the rest of your mana. I have some instants, but not a ton. I think I'm just going to play Haywire Might. It's another artifact that can go to my graveyard for Emrakul. It's just a random cheap body that I can sack to Skyfisher Spider or Sling-Gang Lieutenant. It's also a creature that can let me get treasures the turn I play the Grim Hireling. Now for the horrible part of cubing. I have to fix my card styles. It didn't used to be this bad. It didn't used to require you to remove the cards from your deck. But this is the world we live in now. So ram through is Punch that gets better if you have Trample. Oh, Emrakul has Trample. But it has protection from instants. I needed Hexproof from instants. Okay, that doesn't work. But I'll punch with other things. Oh, Grimflayer has Trample. There we go. I'm very excited to get Emrakul my first draft out. For people who haven't played with Emrakul yet on Arena, it's very hard to control your opponent's turn. Like, they made a really big deal of all the work they put into getting it to function, and I mean, I guess it was a big task for them, but it really doesn't work particularly well, has been my experience. Every time I've ever casted, I haven't been able to do all the things I wanted to do while controlling my opponent. I just couldn't figure out how to do them. This card seems kind of innocuous, but Form 1 Menace is actually kind of a menace. Draw a card, discard a card. If you discard an instant or sorcery, drain your opponent's sack it. You can cast an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. You still have to play the mana cost, and that costs 2, so it's mostly a looter that can drain your opponent, but you have to be discarding spells to drain them. I guess that's okay. How does this thing come back? Only if a non-skeleton creature died under your control this turn. I don't think I want to trade my Canker Bloom. I will trade my skeleton token for these two, if they want to double block. I didn't get a ton of sideboard cards, and I do have a lot of things that just go after artifacts and enchantments in my deck. Maybe against this opponent I'll want to swap Reclamation Sage for Journey to the Center of the Earth. What do they discard? Clone. Forgot that we're going to be able to do that. It's not a disaster that I traded my 4/1 Trample for the Looter. Even go Lich. This is a really old card. This is Fight. There's so many cards in Magic now that they all work slightly differently. So even though I play a lot, have to read all these cards in Cube. It's kind of a weird experience, not just knowing what all the cards do all the time. But that's also why I think Cube has gotten really good on Arena. When they first came out with Cube for Arena, there just wasn't a big enough card pool, so it was, you were just playing with a lot of cards you just remembered from playing in Standard. But they've gotten more creative with making the cubes, and there's just you know, more cards on Arena now. I think it's great. I don't really want to let the Twilight Prophet do its thing. Maybe did they have to ascend before they could do that? Maybe I could have left that in play. Yeah, I probably should have just played Witch of the Moors that turn. This I can exile cards from any graveyard. And it's really going into the tank here. They weren't prepared to face such a gigantic Canker Bloom. Ooh, it's Lear. Nice. I really need to draw a land for the Cemetery Desecrator. Now I can play Desecrator, eat. I could eat the whatever the excavation is called, or the duplication is called, rather. Can they copy my stuff? They can. So they can make a backup Lear. A backup flying non-legendary Lear. That's kind of brutal. So I'll just get this into play. Ooh, it's Garuda. They're just setting up my Emrakul. So I can play this, sack the Haywire Might to blow up my own Wolf Willowhaven to trigger Witch of the Moors to get back the Haywire Might. That's really not that exciting, though. What does this have to do with the hit counters? I don't remember how Retrata works. How do I get my guy back? They just hit him and then he was gone. Don't appear to be able to cast him, so I guess that's not how I get him back. I also don't have any creatures in my graveyard. Mordenkainen, this thing makes a giant dog. Elusive dogs. I'm gonna need to find my Emrakul probably to win this game. Turn a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's Leer yet again. That has a cool deck. Oh, I should have blocked with the Rexage instead. So that when I could alter a ball back the Witch of the Moors and trigger it. I think I'm basically dead now. Yeah, they can bounce Witch of the Moors and just attack me and kill me. Please kill me, opponent. With your giant dog. So I didn't actually see much in the way of targets for that stuff. That stuff being artifacts and enchantments. So I guess I'm just going to board in Journey to Eternity, or maybe it's slow enough. I should actually just board in Conduit of Worlds. Let's try Conduit of Worlds. They're also milling me with Gerudo, so they're feeding it some. Can I mull a hand that has my Emrakul in it? Yeah, I think I can. Well, this hand's... it's not good. 5 lands and 2 cards that really don't do anything at the start of the game. I'm going to keep, though, rather than going to 6, but I'm not optimistic about where this one's headed. On Grimflayer, Ornithopter of Paradise. It would give me something to play on turn 2, but sadly I need action. I don't need to ramp into nothing. It's not a Grimflayer. I think they have the Black March. That's why they've attacked. Offering to trade 2 for 3. Yeah. Surprise, I boarded in the Conduit of Worlds. Should I play it, or should I just play Timeless Witness this turn? Oh, but just Timeless Witness. Adds more power to the board. What do the hit counters do? Oh, okay. The hit counters are bad for me. I thought that they might be doing something to help me. I was wrong. I'm obviously going to ram through the Etrata to finish it off. Here with March in the yard. I guess I'm going to Collective Brutality them. They're still just going to get to recast the instant or sorcery. with Leer, but it'll mean they get to do it one less time. Or I'll completely whiff. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to Conduit Worlds to recast the Timeless Witness. To get back Ram through. If they put the Transmogrids Crown on the Cult Conscript, I'm just going to take the damage. Here, I'm going to block Leer. Ram through Creed Combat. Get Leer off the board at least. Gerudo, but I do have the Conduit of Worlds, so this is theoretically helping me. Oh no. They can Cemetery Desecrate something of mine, though. Come on, Emrakul off the top. I don't even know if I'd be able to cast it, but it'd be nice. I'm kind of screwed by my Conduit of Worlds now. Only being able to play one thing a turn is not going to get it done. I needed them to whiff on the Gerudo, not hit a 4/4 Menace. I don't even think there's anything I could draw off the top of my deck that would save me. Certainly not Briarbridge Tracker. This is more like it. Turn 2 Grimflare. Definitely don't need any more lands, so that was a pretty nice spot to connect with the Grimflare, get 3 lands off the top of my deck. I guess eventually I'll probably want to draw 1 more land, but I'd much rather draw a spell next turn. have to ascend and then they get a time warp. These are all actually pretty good. Maybe not the Skullport Merchant. Yeah, maybe not even the Witch of the Moors. I want to leave this flipped face down because then I'll be able to play the Desecrator for 5 mana next turn. I get Delirium off of either of these cards now because I don't have an instant or a sorcery. I have creature, enchantment, land in my yard. Ooh. There are sweepers in this cube. So right now Emrakul costs 9. Come on, Emrakul. Or Altar of Ball would also be good. This doesn't appear to be going great. Put me to 1. Still destroyed a lot of lands. Oh, I forgot to block. I couldn't win anyway. I could have lived through the attack, though. Do they have any artifacts or enchantments? Not really. I may have misjudged my cube when I valued the artifact and enchantment stuff so highly. gonna flip the Growling Horde Hauler back. Off to a fast start. Hope they don't have Kunaros. Is that the name of the dead guy? I don't know what this card does. So I could ram through Collected Brutality that. I don't think it's worth it though. I think I'll just potentially ram through it next turn. The Briar Bridge Tracker. Oh man, they tracked down my clue? Rude. Oh. Swing and a miss. It's a weird 1-2 punch. A lot of tools to not die anytime soon, even though I haven't been able to mount any attack really. How does this thing work? This is their copy of Cemetery Desecrator, not mine. This is an optimistic double block. If they have nothing, I get this thing off the board and they have to eat. I guess they can eat the creature that they just killed, so maybe this is just a bad block. I don't really have any plan for how to get through the game without that thing dying. Well. So I think going to do is I'm going to sack the Haywire Might to the Skyfisher Spider. To kill the Twilight Prophet, but with the triggers on the stack, I'm going to kill this Jaren, the Corrupted Bishop, so they don't get more tokens, and also so they don't get the 13 life at some point and make Ormondal. I think that would be bad for me. How sad am I going to be if this card is Emrakul? If they've stolen my Emrakul? I'm going to be very sad. We know that Emrakul's not in the bottom. Well, it's not in these three cards. I can use the Duskwatch Recruiter to maybe get more intelligence as to where the Emrakul might be. Or I could just realize it's in my hand. So they right now cost 10. Make it a little bit cheaper by playing a sorcery. Misclicked. I meant to target that thing. No. You're gonna really need some Emrakul-based magic to win this one. That's pretty brutal. That gives me a little bit of hope. Might be able to do some Cemetery Desecration. I'm probably going to at least get to cast Emrakul this game. Not this turn, but next turn. Take out the Twilight Prophet here, and then I'll have the ability to potentially trade with the Witch of the Moors. I'm still at a relatively high life total. Okay. It's just going to come down to whether or not Emerald's good enough. Oh! That would have been a nice one for them to have in their hand. Turn I resolved Emrakul. I'm at least going to have a lot of options with the Emrakul on their turn. I can destroy non-giants. Just do this. I've done it. Emrakul for the victory. That was a good way to win. Do you think my opponent's really thinking this long and hard about the Gilded Goose? Really good priority with only a single blue. I don't know what... I'm not sure I've seen a card that they would be giving them priority there. Probably I'm going to keep my clue around and just make a food. This turn to make sure this thing stays a decent clock. The hero of game 2 has arrived. It's gonna be a while before that one's ready to go. So we'll just get back Tyvar's stand. Keep up the pressure. Maximum pressure. This doesn't mean I'm not going to be able to play the Cemetery Desecrator next turn. But I am going to be able to attack next turn, almost definitely. Next turn I should be able to use this Cemetery Desecrator to force through damage. What might wind up happening is I attack, they block, and then I eat their Siphon Insight to finish off their blocker. Or what also might happen is they just might not do anything. They might have the Black March in their hand if they're playing this way. I think I'm just going to eat my clue. I don't really... I think it's... Oh, it doesn't matter because the food. I always forget that this isn't... It's just tokens. It's not clues. I was thinking I had to decide between having my guy have 4 power and getting to crack the clue there, but I didn't have to decide. If I tried to Cemetery Desecrate the Siphon Insight, they would just cast it. I think I want to save the Cemetery Desecrator so I get the trigger on the front end. This was kind of what game 1 looked like, but they wrathed me with the Realm Cloak Giant. This game, they don't have any white mana. So I'm less afraid of that happening again. That's a good card. You can only enchant creatures you control. That's fine, though. So Journey to the Center of the Earth. What's this card actually called? Journey to Eternity. That was a complicated set of triggers. What colors? This is land tap for mana of any color. This is instant speed, wow. Some fast squirrel beatdown. Hopefully. If they bounce one of their lands to do this, this doesn't seem like a good deal. A new color has entered the arena. So this can eat artifacts or creatures. And this can eat creatures or treasures. It's been neutralized. He never stood a chance, Skullport Merchant. I'm going to have the option of just using the Altered Ball to convert the squirrel into a Skullport Merchant my next turn, which I might do if I just draw another land. I think instead I'm just going to play the Gilded Goose. This allows me to leave Terra Sunder up. Also, I can end of turn eat the food with the squirrel. Get a card, get a counter. I don't think I need the mana from the goose. Next turn. That I'm going to exile. I just eat the goose too. I'm going to start by eating the food. See if I draw anything else. No. Alright, I'm going to put them to 2 this way, which I do have Collective Brutality in my deck, so that might be a way that I would win the game. Probably I'm just going to attack them to death, but we'll see. Do they really have red cards in their deck? Kind of getting paid off finally for having the Rex Age, even though I'm not going to get my token back. This is cost accrued 2. That wasn't the way, opponent. You were in rough shape anyway, but that wasn't the way to do it. Should I leave the Rex Age in? I did see that limousine. I guess I'll leave it in. Journey to Eternity seemed... Maybe it's better than I thought. I do have a lot of ways to sack my things. But it's just so much can go wrong. And the upside is like you get a land and you get this incredibly expensive thing that probably wins you the game, but it's so expensive to get this going. I'm just going to stick with the Rex Age because I really don't want to lose to the Mysterious Limousine. More squirrel beatdowns. This time I'm missing a color. Moth King and I have very, very different ideas about how to build a mana base. Are they just playing all their cards? Maybe they're... This isn't all the cards they drafted, but they weren't as selective as they could have been. You're probably going to win this game, though. If I don't draw a forest. This doesn't actually help me very much. I suppose it helps me in the sense that I could sack it to the Ravenous Squirrel eventually. If I draw a green land, but if I draw a green land, that's going to be pretty low on my priority of actions to take. And I was going to say, it didn't seem like their deck was going to be able to turn on Inventor's Fair, but they got 2/3 of the way there with just the Thrawn Spider. against this guy. I can just use Embrose to kill my squirrel. But the only way I could fight back against that is to leave mana up and to eat the Power Stone, or I guess I could have eaten the Power Stone. Main phase. Ooh, Lithiform Engine. I love Lithiform Engine. Would have been a good turn to draw a land. Then I would have been able to potentially ram through the Embrose in response to it being attacked, and also be able to afford to Canker Bloom the Lithiform Engine. I think this works, right? This has to be in play to deal the damage. No. Why did I think that was going to work differently? For some reason, I thought the wording was going to function like a fight spell, but obviously that's not correct. Do I want a 5th land? I do. Come on, Lithiform Engine, the Inventor's Fair. Live a little. The low cost of 2 mana, you can gain an additional life. It's the then clause that confused me. Like, it doesn't just say this thing taps and deals 2 damage to a creature. It says you put a counter on it, then it does something, which I suppose doesn't matter in any way. But it matters in the sense that it fooled me. I still should destroy the Lithiform Engine. It's pretty powerful once you get a bunch of mana in play. Also, this shuts off the Inventor's Fair yet again. Are we in Spin Thran Spider mode yet? I don't have enough mana to play the Slinkling Lieutenant and the Witch of the Moors this turn because they're not artifacts. I'm just going to play this. It didn't work. Spoiler, it didn't work. I'll play the Sling Gang Lieutenant after combat. Then next turn I'll be able to play Witch of the Moors and sack a goblin to the Sling Gang Lieutenant to edict them. And get back. Maybe Grim Hireling, maybe Cankerbloom. Cankerbloom actually seems good against their deck. I thought I was going to be playing against more decks that look kind of like this, where they have a bunch of artifacts and enchantments when I built my deck. Have been neutralized. Does this count as an artifact spell when I play Bone Offering? I don't think so. And this is not how you build a mana base opponent. You can't be putting Blade Historian in your 4-color deck with Inventor's Fair. I will not allow it. Well, I will allow it. I will not encourage it. I wanted to just see if the Altar of Baal could be cast off the Power Stone. I don't think it can. Well, that was worth it just for that one Emrakul game, even if the other two matches were not that exciting. It's all about the Emrakul experience. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.